Houston Texans training camp on ESPN San Antonio. Brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds, online at mybestbailbonds.com. And by Bud Light. Bud Light, the official beer of the Houston Texans.
Happiness is a choice. Thanks for choosing us. 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the new ESPN San Antonio app. In the O'Reilly Auto Parts mobile studios at Houston Texans training camp. In fact, we are at NRG Stadium right now. A lot to get to today. But let's start off with Matt Dissinger, the director for Hard Knocks, joining us right now. Appreciate the time. I know you're crazy busy.
Oh, not a problem at all. Not a problem.
So how's it going?
I think it's going pretty well. I know that the first show rated pretty well. People in Houston seem very excited for it. I think we set a pretty high bar for ourselves, and hopefully we reached that with the second episode.
Yeah, we were just talking, prior to the show about all the attention to detail that goes into an episode of Hard Knocks. Can you kind of explain to people? Because, when you're at home, all you see is what goes on TV.
Right.
Like, oh, this is a great show. But can you kind of explain just a small piece of the attention to detail that goes into
Yeah, we film 350 hours for every 1 hour that makes it. We have 6 crews shooting every practice. We have up to 10 wires per practice. For the game, we had 9 crews shooting. We had 16 players wired. There's just a lot of logistics that go into it. I'm blessed to be with the crew. My production coordinators are top-notch, making sure that everything down to when we have our laundry done happens. It's a big production, and there's a lot of really talented people. My A1, Paul Flinton, he coordinated the wires for the game, and it was a matter of, activating and deactivating players.
Mm-hmm.
It was like chaos, but what you see, that final product, there's a lot of, logistics that go into that and a lot of really talented people behind the scenes.
Matt Dissinger joining us, director of Hard Knocks. When people think of director, I'm sure they think of somebody yelling cut and action.
Yeah, right.
So when there's live action going on a practice field or live action going on throughout the show, what do you do? How are you directing?
A lot of the direction comes in preparation. If I have guys in the right positions, we're following the right storylines. A lot of that's in the preparation days before, plotting out which cameras are going to be where and who they're following. Obviously you have to react if something happens. If there's an injury, if there's a fight that breaks out in Richmond. Oftentimes in those you're reactive. So I'll be on the walkie-talkie communicating with my crews, repositioning them. But to be honest, most of what I do comes in the planning.
And, I love the show. I've loved the show for years. I love not a fan of reality TV, but this is far beyond reality TV.
That's a bad word with me. I hate when people call it Hard Knocks reality.
It's not really reality TV. It's real TV.
It's a documentary series.
Right. It's real.
Yeah.
And, I know, in this profession, you guys I'm assuming that you guys can be kind of tough on yourself, always looking for ways to improve. Mm-hmm. What are ways did you think that you guys can improve the show from week to week?
We are very hard on ourselves. If there's one moment I miss, that's all I can think about. But we keep pushing the boundaries with our visuals. Like I said last night, we wired 16 guys. That's the most we've ever done. We brought in a new piece of equipment called a cable cam that we tried for the first time that you'll see in the show tomorrow night. We're constantly trying to cover it better. When you're in a training camp environment like this, when you're in a practice, there's 90 players and X amount of coaches. You have, 10 of them mic'd. If something happens with somebody else, you got to react. And I think that's the way we can get better. We communicate. It's one of the big emphasis for me with, everyone that's on walkie. Use your eyes and ears and tell me if something's happening and we'll adjust.
How does this all go down? I was reading that in years past where the training camp facility's far away from the major facility, you have to have somebody run all of the film back to the facility to then, just give me kind of this concept of the whole process, what goes on, in cooking preparation towards preparing the meal, cooking the meal, and then getting it out to the table.
Yeah, we everything we shoot is on cards that are then fed through a digital pipeline. The days of hiring a courier to fly the tapes back to New Jersey doesn't happen anymore. We set up this system a couple of years ago. Every stadium now has a pipeline that will feed things through. And then, like I said, there's 350 hours that get fed back to New Jersey. We don't do any editing here on site. What we do here is we film. We're the ones that capture everything, and we'll plan on who we do. That stuff gets all sent back to a team of editors in New Jersey. There's, I think, 20 to 30 of them that'll log the footage and edit and put the segments together. And that's a collaboration between us then on that final product.
I've always wanted to know, how does the process work as to which team you guys choose? It's just like how did it just come down to?
Yeah, I mean it's it's a process that starts right after the season. It's we reach out to multiple teams, we gauge interest. Do
teams turn you guys down?
I mean, not everyone. It doesn't really get to that point. It's not like we make formal offers and they say no or something like that. It's it's a process where we're just kind of feeling teams out, and then you'll get an idea of who's interested, and then you'll just progress from that point.
Do you just said that you just send the film out to editing, and did they tell you then, based upon what they've edited together, which to focus on, or is this collaborative sort of, you send, because if you're sending 350 hours, that's tons of different footage that will never see the light. So, I mean, what, as far as the storylines that actually make it to air as part of that 1 hour thing, are they telling you, hey, this is what we're going to be focusing on this week?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a day-by-day process. So, they're a day behind, essentially. So what we shoot today, they'll only get to look at the following day, But, yeah, communicating between the two of us, oftentimes we'll be here in the field, we'll shoot something, it'll seem great, but it might not play as well on the other side, But they're talking to us about what they see, we're talking to them about what we see, and that final product is truly a collaboration between the two sides.
Matt Dissinger, the director of Hard Knocks, joining us, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the new ESPN SA app. What's the craziest thing that you've been a part of as you've been a part of Hard Knocks for, 8 years now, you said?
Yeah, it's been 8 years, yeah. I mean, James Harrison was a different cat, that's for sure.
Antonio Cromartie?
Yeah, Cromartie, yeah.
That's maybe the most memorable thing to happen.
People have different opinions on what their most memorable moment was, but, Harrison was a different kind of guy. I think, He was hard on us a little bit, but he also, he didn't shy from the camera. Let's put it that way. It was fascinating for me to see a guy that came around eventually. Eventually we got our shoot with him. He was, putting his hand up to the camera for a couple of weeks.
Does this, doing shooting like this? Does this, prior to going into it, you kind of have your thoughts and views of players. Mm-hmm. Does this change the perception of certain guys when you get a chance to kind of visit with them, sit with them up close?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're like basically family here. We're with these guys every day for 6 straight weeks. I mean, when they show up in the morning, we're here. When they leave, we're here. We do off the field shoots with them. You really get to learn a lot about these guys. And you're only human. You get to develop your opinions and thoughts and, relationships with these guys. All the crew members end up being fans of the Hard Knocks team that following year, and I'm sure that'll happen again with Houston.
Yeah. Do you, from our vantage point, Bill O'Brien has been very closed to the media as far as, interviews or access, very unlike Gary Kubiak, his predecessor. Do you guys see that, or is it because you're part of NFL Films that they maybe open up more of the vault?
Yeah, I mean, certainly Hard Knocks is only happening because we're NFL Films. I mean, we have the shield, it's on my T-shirt right now. I mean, we take it very seriously. We're not here to embarrass anybody. We're not journalists. I mean, we're documentarians. We think we put out a pretty good product. We think we give you pretty good access. But, that happens because we have a trust. And I think that trust has been earned with Steve and Ed Sable and everything they did before. That all plays into it. And that's why we get the access we do.
Yeah. But, I mean, as far as, was there any reluctancy from the Texans at the onset or any other organization about what you can or cannot film?
I mean, there's always, I think it's more of a paranoia. There's always the perception's always far worse than the reality with Hard Knocks. I mean, you tell, Coach O'Brien, hey, Hard Knocks is coming. Of course, I don't think he's going to be happy about it, but, I mean, he said in multiple press conferences, it's, don't even notice the cameras. They're good to work with. I think it's just a matter of the idea of cameras coming into your training camp is a very, puts off a lot of people. But once they see, what it is we're about, how professional my crew is, guys get settled in. Like Coach O'Brien said, I tell everyone every time we meet with them initially, 1 to 2 weeks into this thing, you're gonna turn to me and say, I barely notice the cameras anymore. And sure enough, he had a press conference where he said, barely notice the cameras anymore. JJ said the same thing. Like, we know how to blend in the background. We've been doing this for a long time. A lot of the guys are on this crew. This isn't their first rodeo. So, we take a lot of pride in that.
Awesome. Appreciate the time. Matt Dissinger, the director of Hard Knocks, Tuesdays at 9 o'clock Central?
Yep, 9 o'clock Central.
Tuesdays, 9 o'clock Central on HBO.
Great show.
All right.
Fantastic
Thanks, guys.
show.
Appreciate the time.
It. Yep.